Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talk About the Show, where I talk about whatever it is I want to talk about. And today I want to talk about the fact that it has been confirmed that Alex Garland is set to direct the live-action Elden Ring movie for A24. And basically what I want to do in this video is I kind of want to talk about how I would do this. If I were Alex Garland, if I weren't Alex Brown, but were instead Alex Garland, this is how I would make the movie. And it's not to say that I know how to make a movie. God, no, not even close. But there's just, for Elden Ring, I feel like there's a very specific way to do this to make it good, I think at least. Because when this news broke, a lot of people were like, well, how are you going to do that? How are you possibly going to condense Elden Ring into a movie? You're just some foul tarnished roaming around the land between, fighting enemies, going from dungeon to dungeon, fighting bosses, and that's pretty much it. How are you going to capture that in a movie form? I know the answer. I think I know the answer, at least. I know exactly what the answer is. You don't, because that wouldn't be a fun movie at all. I don't think that'd make a good movie at all. It makes a great game, but that does not make a good movie. The story in Elden Ring doesn't happen when you're playing the game. The story in Elden Ring happened way before your Tarnished came along. And that is what the basis of what George R.R. Martin's contributions were to the game. He created the world that the game takes place in. He did all the lore and all of that, the backstory of all of these boss characters that you have fought. Your Melanias, your Radons, you know them pretty well, I'm sure. Which also reminds me, I should add that George R.R. Martin will also be a producer on this film. So alongside Alex Garland, who has done some pretty good movies, I think, you'll have George R.R. Martin, who will very likely serve as a story consultant, something of that nature, to make sure the lore is consistent with the game. I hope so, at least, because there are a lot of people who've talked a lot about the lore of Elden Ring for a long time. Some people make a YouTube channel of it that's very successful. Shout out to Vati. Great videos. I was about to shout him out like you should go watch him. You probably have already seen him. Who hasn't? You know what I mean? But it is that lore that George R.R. Martin has set up, that backstory to the world of Elden Ring, that I think makes for a perfect ground for storytelling, for telling the story of Elden Ring in the form of a movie. Now, the argument could be made that it should really be like an incredibly high budget TV show, but that's not the case. And also that would be an extremely high budget TV show, like Game of Thrones budget, if not more, to do the entirety of the Shattering War, I believe it was called, for Elden Ring. I shouted out Vati earlier. If you are unfamiliar with the lore of Elden Ring, highly recommend, because there's a very dense backstory to Elden Ring that would make a lot of sense for a movie. So if you don't know any of it, great starting place, and is honestly the basis of this video. But I think doing the Shattering War in a 2-hour movie, I mean, God, I hope it's a 3-hour movie based on what Elden Ring is. It should be a long movie. Lord of the Rings length, honestly. 4 hours, 12 minutes. What up? I think that's Return of the King's length. It should be a long movie. It should be nearing 3 hours, if not over 3 hours. Avatar: Way of the Water. You know what I'm saying? To get a condensed version of not the Shattering War, but just a specific slice of it. The specific slice I'm thinking of makes a lot of sense, because let's take a moment. When you think of Elden Ring, what comes to mind? What do you think of the most when it comes to Elden Ring? What's the one thing people all have a familiarity with when it comes to Elden Ring? Yep, that would be Melania. Melania, for all intents and purposes, is the star of Elden Ring. And so in my ideal world, if I were Alex Garland, I would be like, we're gonna make this movie and it's gonna be about the story of Melania. And Melania, guess what? She's played by Anya Taylor-Joy. And has Anya Taylor-Joy ever been in a bad movie? I don't know. I haven't looked. I've only seen her in good movies, so I don't know. But when I see Anya Taylor, oh, I guess she was in the New Mutants, actually.
That thing will kill you!
He's right, it's magic. So am I.
But when I see Anya Taylor-Joy, I'm like, that's probably going to be a good movie. So if the audience is at home, the people who've only heard of Elden Ring, they're like, oh, Anya Taylor-Joy's in this? That means it's probably going to be pretty good. That'll get some butts and some seats, you know what I'm saying? And in making a movie centered around Melania, You also get to bring in characters like Mikola, who we have come to know quite a bit because of the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. We learned a lot about Mikola there, and it'd be cool to see Mikola. I don't know who's going to play Mikola, honestly. I didn't think that far ahead. I just know that Anya Taylor-Joy has to be Melania if this movie wants to be a success, I think at least. And in doing so, you also get Radon, who I think next to Melania, especially after the DLC, has become like the second biggest star of Elden Ring. Let me know what you think of those rankings in the comments below. I think that would be accurate in terms of boss fights. I think people think of Melania still first, and then you think of Radon. But I don't know what the world thinks. The thing that we all know from the trailers of Elden Ring, the thing that we all know the most, I feel, is that duel between Melania and Radon that ends in a standstill, essentially. That would be the climax of this movie. And it's not just titled Elden Ring. Elden Ring is the game. You know, that's what the game is, I think, at least. I think for the movie, you separate it by having a subtitle. And so the title of the movie would therefore be Elden Ring, Blade of Mikola. And that's sick. That's so sick. Or even if you don't want to go Blade of Mikola, because what's a Mikola? You know, no one really knows what a Mikola is unless you've played Elden Ring. Or you could go Elden Ring, Goddess of Rot. Come on, it writes itself. You tell that story of Melania, of being born with the Scarlet Rot, how that goes. I know I said Anya Taylor-Joy is Melania, so I don't know if it's getting Furiosa in my head, but you kind of structure it a little bit in that fashion, where you see her at birth, and then you see a little bit in the middle, and then you see a little bit later, because, like I said, there's a lot that happens in Elden Ring's lore. It would be hard to capture all of it in a linear sort of fashion movie. So you would have to do a lot of like jumping around here and there where it makes sense to get a full movie out of it, I would think. And it'd still have to be like 3 hours long. But yes, the end of the movie, the climax of this movie would be Melania versus Radon, and that'd be so sick. Because while, yeah, this movie is an A24 joint and an Alex Garland joint for that matter, both are factors that haven't really produced a like blockbuster, so to speak. Having an Elden Ring movie kind of poises you to make a blockbuster movie, if you know what I mean. The fact that it's Elden Ring, one of the biggest video game IPs out there, the audience that it would attract are people who are going to be here to see the cool aesthetic of the game transferred into the movie on the big screen and the cool set pieces that accompany that. So while A24 and Alex Garland are usually more on the artsy fartsy critical darling sides, I think this would be a perfect mesh for them to sort of like stretch their wings and make a blockbuster that is still artsy fartsy critical darling sort of thing, if you know what I mean. Because also in that duel, I'm just thinking like the visuals, the super sick visuals that happen with that duel at the end, where Melania blooms and like brings the Scarlet Rot all over Caelid. That would be such a sick visual, especially coming from Alex Garland. If you look back at some of his work in like Annihilation or Green Knight from the A24 side of it, the visuals that they can play with in telling the story of Melania, come on. There's so many sick visuals in Elden Ring. And especially, I think, by introducing the Scarlet Rot and having Melania do all of her cool stuff and having Radon do some gravitational magic and stuff like that. And that's really cool to see, because yeah, people are going to see an Elden Ring movie just based off of the title alone, Elden Ring. If it were up to me, Goddess of Rod, Blade of Mikola. But to see like the backstory of two of the most iconic characters in Elden Ring, I think that'd be insanely hype for a lot of people. And the trailers would be so hype to show that duel, little glimpses of the duel between Melania and Radon. I know there's a bunch of backstory that leads into it. That's what the rest of the movie is for. I'm really making it sound like I'm only pinning this on the fact that they have a really sick duel. And yeah, that's really sick. That's going to make a lot of people want to watch the movie for sure. But there's a lot of backstory that leads into that duel that they can A24 and Alex Garland their asses off and make it super artsy fartsy, super engaging, and make it really awesome. And then you get that awesome climax. And then you get a little bit of in the end, you get the little glimpses of, Melania goes to the Halig tree, and Radon goes off over into that field. And it kind of sets the stage for people to watch the movie and then go, man, what happens next, you know? Go play the game, and you gotta go fight Melania, and it's pretty sick. And it's Anya Taylor-Joy now. They updated the game and changed what Melania looks like. It's pretty sick. Yeah, that's kind of me spitballing. I didn't really give it too much thought. As you can tell, this is an episode of Talk About, where I just talk about whatever it is I want to talk about. I don't script these, but this is just me spitballing what I would want the Elden Ring movie to be. Elden Ring, Blade of Miquella, detail the story of Melania leading into the fight between her and Radon. It would be so sick. You get so many other characters attached to that story as well. Of course, you get Miquella, and I believe Ronnie's involved in that story in particular as well. And it's a really cool time. It's a really cool way to bring Elden Ring to the big screen and to the mainstream general audience out there. Because, like I said, I believe Melania and Radon are the two most iconic characters when it comes to Elden Ring. So getting them on the big screen would be awesome. Because I don't think that having the lowly Tarnished be the main character for 2 hours would be an extremely engaging movie. I don't know how you would do that. I don't think you do. I don't know what that would be. So hopefully Alex Garland, he's got a good head on his shoulders, you know? Great first name, one of the best first names out there. So I think he knows what he's doing. And I hope he knows what he's doing. I hope the movie is more insular in this way, where it is focusing on specific characters in Elden Ring lore. And I hope it's Melania. So the movie is called Elden Ring, Blade of Miquella. Make it happen, Alex. I know you got this in you. And that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments below of what my pitch is for the Elden Ring movie. Let me know what your pitch is for the Elden Ring movie in the comments below. If you think mine's any good, you know? Or if you think they could just go the lowly Tarnished route. I definitely don't think you could. Let me know if you think they could in the comments below, but I don't think so. So just do Blade of Miquella. Elden Ring, Blade of Miquella. It'd be so sick. Yeah, that'll do it. If you like this video, if you like the pitch, leave a like. Let me know in the comments below. Helps with engagement, both of those things. And if you did those things, you might as well subscribe while you're at it. And that'll do it for today. So yeah, this was a movie episode, I guess, but it's a video game, a movie about a video game. So I don't know how to sign off. Do I tell you to go watch a movie? Do I tell you to go play video games? Hey, you know, maybe do both, you know? Until next time, as always, stay safe and go consume some media, I guess. I don't know.